So guys, SAN Agbakoba is reiterating his stance that if Nigeria continues the way it is now, that will record no progress. Now, take a look at this headline. This is coming from Harrison. He said he has recovered 10 million naira cash from the Nigerian police that was extorted from passengers on the road. So guys, you can imagine what people go through at the hands of the policemen in this country, and that is why insecurity is increasing. Instead of them policing the environment, they are there busy, extorting from people. Now, I'm going to allow you to take a look at how what Mr. Agbakoba has got to say about Nigeria not making progress because of the wrong system we are operating on. But before then, listen for yourself what Harrison said in this video. Then you are going to match it with what Agbakoba is saying, because the APC is not even ready to release power to some section of the country. They still want power to be at the center. And Agbakoba is saying that true federalism is what is going to save this country, considering the level of insecurity everywhere. I mean, everything is left on the table of the president. The president has to decide for any action, be it on the police, the military, anywhere. And Agbakoba is saying that this system is not going to gain Nigeria anything. I mean, there will be no progress. Just take your time and listen to these two clips and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Now take a look.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So total we have here is 10 million naira. This money was criminally robbed from a Nigerian, an NYSC youth corps member, who was traveling to Rivers State. He was held by these officers, and the family had to contribute this money here. I see 10 million naira. That's what we have here. So it's recovered. My name is Harrison Wamnishu. We just left Unogwa, AIG zone 16, Unogwa, Bayelsa State. All right. Some NYSC members traveling from Warri to Port Harcourt. They are Deltans. They were stopped at stop and search in Bayelsa State. Some officers who are now identified as surveillance team of the AIG zone 16 Bayelsa State took their phones from them and searched them. They found nothing. They searched the car. They found nothing. So they asked them to a police to give them money for fuel. Because of the delay, they delayed them for almost 30 minutes. So the young man transferred 15,000 naira to the officer. This is the account he transferred the money to. And after he transferred this money to the officer, I think the officer holding his phone saw the debit alert on his phone dropped, and he saw that he has some huge amount of money in his account. So now they can't change them for him. Immediately he saw the debit alert on his phone, they dragged them into the car and took them away. They drove them for about 2 hours in the bush, going from different location to another, until they now took them to zone 16 Bayelsa, where they took them to the office and forced them to make some videos that they allege internet fraudsters, Yahoo, and the rest of them. So they started telling them to tell the family to send money. They started calling friends and families, and they were sending money to their account until they got about 10 million naira, which they transferred to this POS account, was paid to POS account. The officers involved in this case were just patrolling around the yard, like they were laughing at us. Say, no, we don't collect them now. We go still show now go still. They were like threatening us in the place. So we now went to AIG office to go and say AIG. The PRO led us to AIG office, and the way the man shouted at me, the way the man treated me was very, very bad, and it shows that he is working with these guys. He's the one backing them. Because if you're not the one backing them, I don't see the reason why you should be angry with me. So the IG should call the AIG zone 16 to order, because these guys have been doing this thing for so long. A lot of recovery has been made. These officers, nothing happened to them. Tomorrow again, they'll go back again to the road again. to go and commit more havoc. The anti-courtesy unit of that same zone 16, money was recovered just last 3 weeks. The officers, nothing happened to them. It continues. Now, after this recovery, now what happened next? They will still go back again to the road again to go and commit more havoc. Extort people, hold them hostage, and force them to transfer money into their account. It is criminal. It is criminal. And I believe these officers are the ones destroying the image of the Nigerian police force. They should be called to order.
I've scanned through the latest draft of your thesis titled Devolution is the Solution, comprehensive as usual and clearly thoroughly researched. And you sound pretty convinced that if the foundational reforms that you propose by way of devolution are properly and fully implemented, it'll signal a pivotal turning point for the better in Nigeria's history. This is not the first time that you've talked about this. What has changed since the last time, just a few months ago?
Nothing has changed, but I just thought I should continue to say what I've been saying. And what I've been saying is that the way we are structured, a diverse ethnicity, the best thing that will work for us as diverse people is federalism. And that unless we have space in Nigeria, some call it confederation, unless we have space and give the regional ethnicities their own independence within the context of a Nigerian federal system, it's unlikely we'll go very far. As you know, we've been at this devolution discussion since 1999, effectively making it 25 years. Whenever you have a new National Assembly, they inaugurate a constitution review committee, but nothing's happening. So I thought I should add my voice again to say I'm still here, I'm still saying the same thing I've been saying, and not unless we do this would we see the progress that I think Nigeria ought to be showing the world. So that's why I'm saying it again.
Well, indeed. And I think just scanning through social media and traditional media, that there seems to be growing support for that position because you've been relentless in calling for devolution and restructuring. But I'm wondering whether many people, particularly in the administration and National Assembly, appear to be listening.
Apparently not. And which is why I look back at the precedent since the last 25 years. And I said the first point I made was the National Assembly has been at it for 25 years, no result. Even though I must acknowledge, let me take that back. I must acknowledge that the National Assembly is in fact doing constitutional reform, but very slowly and piecemeal. I know that this year alone, they've passed 80 amendments, but it's not really having the impact we want it to have. So that's one formula that is on the table. The other formula has been the national conference called by many heads of states, going back to the time of OBJ, IBB, Abacha, Buhari. No, Buhari didn't, Jonathan, but nothing. So what I think needs to happen is to ask the president of Nigeria, as the chief executive officer, imbued with powers under Section 5 of the Constitution, shouldn't you drive this? You know, one thing I must say for Trump, like him or not, he's in front. And I think the president of Nigeria should be in front. So this is a big issue that the president himself should be driving. And if he does it, I think you will see big change. He's the guy who should drive this policy.
I think many people would agree with that. But let's get through the threat to the Nigerian estate. The aspirations, its ability to survive, to thrive, if it fails to massively devolve powers and to fundamentally restructure this country. Just tell us what the threat is, the biggest threat.
The biggest threat is that we'll continue to limp along. Poverty will rise, unemployment will increase, there'll be social tensions, insecurity will be on the rampant, simply because there's no one who is accountable for anything. And you can see through the last 25 years that we've not really gone far. We've had all sorts of development plans, but tell me where it has taken us. So that's the clear and present danger that we're now. Look at the coup rumor. Whether it's true or not true, that's not good for democracy. It's not good for Nigeria that we should be talking about coups. And President Tinubu is changing his service chiefs, lending credence to the story. We are way above all this. We should be number 10 in the table of industrial nations, but we're not. So that worries me. But if we don't address this cancer, which is probably at stage 2, it's going to go to stage 5. And that is an existential threat for Nigeria. So anyone who is a politician, just look what's happening. The name of the game in town now is decamping. That should be the last thing on our minds if we're serious people. So I see a clear and present danger unless we have somebody who will inject energy into the process, which I think is the president, then we're likely to be in trouble as we go along.
Well, I mean, I remember the Patriots kept coming on this program after they had a meeting with the president about this fundamental sort of constitutional reform, complete constitutional change. And they said that he told them that his priority at the moment was economic reform. But your argument is that economic reform isn't going to go anywhere unless there is this devolution that you're talking about.
Yeah. You see, it's what we call root cause analysis. So economic reform, and I must, applaud Wale Edu, the Minister of Finance, in what must be an extremely tough and challenging job. But the problem with economic reform is that you can't get reform going in the context of a very weak political foundation. So I'd rather put it the other way around. I would say if you have a political process, well-structured Nigeria, it will release trapped energy. And that trapped energy will go out into the regions or the states or whatever federated unit you want to call them, and then to create development and restructuring bottom up. So I'm not sure that we can get it right by prioritizing economic reform without looking at what's under the table that is completely rotten. So that's what I think should come first. The whole notion of a strong political foundation that can carry the reform process. Then you will have the sort of, reform agenda that we're looking for.
And it is your contention, is it, that, I mean, I know you mentioned this a little bit earlier, that the constitutional amendments that are currently being proposed and are under consideration as part of the constitution review process, that there is not enough accommodation there for the kind of devolution that you're proposing?
No, there's not. There's not. What they do, I would not dismiss what they are doing entirely, because in fairness to them, they've actually proposed and enacted 80 constitutional amendments. But the bulk work of devolution has not been dealt with, which is constituting a new political structure. That's what we need, a new political structure. The current federation process, which is so pyramidal, is not working. So we need to devolve. When you devolve, you create regions. So I have two suggestions. One suggestion would be to adopt the 1963 model, where you had regions, or absolutely to take up what the Aburi Accords threw up in 1967. That, I think, is a perfect model. So it's either the 1963 model or the Aburi model. But the current model, where you have the federal government exercising 68 items of power on the exclusive list and 30 items of power on the concurrent list, which makes 98, to the exclusion of the states and the local governments, simply is not working. So it's about recasting the entire federal process. Amendments are useful. I applaud the National Assembly for how far they have gone, but they themselves will see that it isn't really working. That what we need is a transformational process that drastically reorganizes, rearranges Nigeria's federal system. That's what I'm looking for.
And you talked about, just a minute ago, the president driving this process. But I'm wondering, in his absence, if you like, what sort of ideological convergence is there in Nigeria about this issue of devolution? Because this is a country where politics is often based on ethnicity, and different ethnic kingpins come together in some sort of convergence only when the main interest is state power and access to sort of national largesse. So I'm wondering whether that kind of north-east-west political support will be needed to pull this off if the president is not forthcoming.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not only that, you also need the influence of the ethnic sub-nationalities. Afenifere, Ohanese, Andef, they should all be more organized in pressing this case forward. I think that these sub-national entities can do more than they are doing to add to because what's needed is pressure, civil society pressure. That's not coming strong enough. So I think I need to see civil society, and that's why I'm here as a lone voice, saying what I've been saying for the last 25 years. So we need to see organized social pressure to push. But for me, I've seen the confab model and I've seen the National Assembly model. I think the person who has not been used at all ought to be persuaded to say, give this a go as CEO of Nigeria. Section 5 authorizes you to be our chief executive officer. So let's give this a go. Let's get behind you. And if the president were to push it, don't forget that the president pushed for something that was very surprising to everybody, the financial autonomy process for the local government systems. And it worked. He went to the Supreme Court and he won. That has given financial autonomy to the local government, and they're getting a lot more revenue. What needs to now be seen is how they use it, but at least the first step has been achieved. They've gotten that financial independence from the state governors. So you can see what would happen if the president were to put his weight on this subject. I think it will make a big change. But also, the ethnic sub-nationalities ought to be putting their weight. And then maybe we can get a convergence. National Assembly will then see, things are happening, and then they'll join the bandwagon. But what is absolutely clear to me, we can't run on this model. We can't run on this model. It will take I don't know how far we can go with this. 5 years, 10 years, and we'll be exhausted.
And again, looking at your very thorough research and analysis in your document, Devolution is the Solution, I know that beyond actually looking at the impact of all of this, the non-implementation of devolution and all the rest of it, you've also looked at the leadership in this country, because you've talked about it just a minute ago, and whether they really want the right diagnosis and the right treatment for this country. I mean, I'm wondering how much this issue of devolution raises questions for you about the mendacity of Nigerian politicians and the dysfunction of parliament, for example. When you say to them with evidence that devolution is the problem in Nigeria, and they say that it isn't.
Well, Charles, you know very well that we don't have political parties. We have political parties only to the extent that it's the access to power. Otherwise, where would Peter Mba in Enugu decamp? I mean, I'm not a politician, so I don't care who is in power, whether it's APC or PDP. But where is Peter Mba? You've been elected governor on the platform of PDP. Why are you decamping? What about the ideology that drove you? And the governor of, where is it now? The governor of, what state now? So many governors are the campaign. So that questions their political ideology. So it makes me conclude, and if I'm wrong, I apologize to the governors, but it gives me the impression that there's nothing like ideology. So if there's no ideology, then it means that these guys go to power for the raw essence of power. So devolution is going to be the last thing on their minds. And what's playing out shows that that's not on the top drawer of their agenda. So they're not interested. So the person who should be interested is President Tinubu. He should be interested because he's the Nigerian president. And I remember very clearly in his campaign manifesto, it was boldly written that he would be at the forefront of restructuring. PW said the same thing, Atiku said the same thing, but we don't hear it happening. None of the politicians are talking about restructuring. Rather, it's about, PDP campaign, this guy wants to go to court, just wahala everywhere. That's not right. That's not right. That's the problem.
And I mean, in furtherance of the point you just made, this is an issue that you say needs to be in the 2027 election campaign so that it turns it into a seminal issue. But nothing so far from the political parties, and they don't, at the very least, appear to even be talking about it. And that worries you.
That's it. Absolutely, it worries me, and that's why I put together this policy paper to say devolution must be on the ballot for 2027. We need to hear what the serious contenders will be making of devolution. Because you see, the reason why I'm strong about devolution is if you look around, you see small countries in Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Rwanda, Kenya, even Ivory Coast at war the other day, Egypt, Morocco. I was doing a YouTube review on Saturday, and I saw that these countries have opened the gap. That it's now about 10-year development gap between these countries that I mentioned and Nigeria. Because they're serious countries with serious agendas to push their countries forward. But our political class here are interested in raw power. They're not interested in development. So that's why I return to the point that we have to devolve power so that the regional units or the federating units can get it right.
And let me just, because I apologize if I make you repeat yourself, but the points you're making are so important that perhaps they need to be emphasized and emphasized over and over again. Would you say that Nigeria is at risk if it does not adopt devolution as a solution, or just under strain?
In between strain and at risk makes no difference. What's important is that Nigeria is not making any progress, rather it is deteriorating, and anybody who's watching the Nigerian political space will be, of course, very concerned that we're not moving forward. So I'm concerned, and I don't know whether to say Nigeria will be at risk or whether there's a strain, but whatever it is, strain or risk, isn't good for Nigeria's political temperature, because anything can happen. Absolutely anything can happen. We just, as I said earlier in the program, we saw the specter of new service chiefs visiting Aso Rock. That's not good for our democracy. Democracy has 4 major cycles. So you go from authoritarian governments to semi-authoritarian or semi-democratic to illiberal to liberal. Now we've been oscillating. We've never gone past a liberal. So we'll get semi-democratic, illiberal, we go back. Why aren't we going forward? We should look at the symptoms. And one of the symptoms is an extremely weak system where you have 774 dead local governments, 36 absolutely financially crippled state governments, maybe apart from Rivers and Lagos. All the others are broke. They just run to Abuja for handouts, to collect printed money. So we don't even have anything to back out the fundamentals of this country. So the country is technically insolvent. So why can't someone say, look, How do we resolve this? And I'm shocked that no politician sees the seriousness behind what I'm saying. So the prescription that I would give if I was a doctor called to the ICU to look at Nigeria, I'd say, look, this guy needs to devolve powers. That's what we need to do. And if you don't do it, there's an existential threat looming.
And obviously, that existential threat affects all of us, not just a group of people
Absolutely.
or a section of the country. So do you think
Absolutely.
then? Do you think, Dr. Agbakoba, that what this whole process of devolution, and I know you mentioned this earlier, but let's re-emphasize that point,
Yes.
that what this whole process of devolution
Sure.
that you propose is lacking right now is a kind of scaffolding superstructure of regional, ethnic, and political
You got it.
agreements, a sort of people power backing
Absolutely.
that would drive it on, so that if
Yeah.
the politicians allow cracks to appear, they won't widen till the whole thing crumbles. But you don't have anything like that
That's it.
united political thrust right now, do you?
No, we don't. That's the part of the problem. So when they call the sack, so maybe some of the political people know that this is a problem, but there isn't a political engineer who can say to the architect, design for me something that will work. The truth is, Nigeria has never been at its weakest. I was a street commander under the military process. I can tell you that it's more difficult now to protest, and that's the irony. And it's also something that isn't easy for me to say, that the political space under the military was wider. It's a shock than today. Is Showore not in prison? What did he do? That's the problem. So we are really, really losing, our way. And we need to be very careful about how we need to proceed so that 2027 should be resolving our problems rather than throwing it up. So that's the worry I have.
All right, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to talk about this. Right. Yes, I will talk about it. Now, NDLE, you go around busting boys because of cannabis, because of weed. You go to different university, different campuses, different hostel. Now they bust boys. They arrest them for cannabis. Even recently, you went to Pretty Mike of Lagos Club, Proxy Lagos. You arrested over 100 persons according to the news because you say you saw cannabis. Now, what is cannabis? Cannabis is weed. You just get different flower, but all of them are the same thing. Now, weed, they still be, right? But I have a problem because I need clarity, and I'm sure that a lot of Nigerians want clarity on this. This is a video of Wizkid, right? Smoking what does not look like cigarettes.
ó loud jù lọ ó yẹ eruku ju ṣíṣà lọ smoking effect ó yá yẹ́rọ mọ̀ ó ti yẹ starboy òkè ló ń gbé bọ́ọ̀sì lókè kò sọ̀rọ̀.
And then this another video of Shea Vibe smoking what does not look like cigarette. A video of Davido. A video of Burna Boy and Shali Poppy. A video of Zinoliski. A video of Nigerian police sitting down inside a Nigerian police truck with his uniform, smoking what does not look like cigarette. This is a picture of Naira Marley. This is a video of Ashake. As a matter of fact, Ashake, even it is said, according to news, that Ashake even have a cannabis brand that he launched. And all,
àwọn tí ẹ gbọ́n kan satin was satin ajé mu.
also, there's a rumor that the particular king, let me get his name right, according to the news. His name is King Rashid Adewale Akambi, the Oluwo of Uwo. It was rumored that he smokes weed and then he debunked it. Then later, this video came out of what looks like he was rapping what does not look like cigarette. Now, I have a question. Is it a crime or is not a crime? Because you cannot go around busting young boys in the universities, arresting people left, right, and center. But these big people and these celebrities that a lot of these young boys are looking up to are smoking this thing in public. And for me, what is good for the goose is definitely good for the gander, right? So, is it really a crime or it is not a crime? Or it is a crime for some particular people and not a crime to some particular people? There are different pictures and videos of celebrities driving cars in the club, music videos here and there, left, right, and center, holding what does not look like cigarettes. I just need clarity, right? Is it a crime or it is not a crime? Because very, very soon now, this thing will cause problem. Yeah, it's definitely going to cause problem. It's not looking like you people are extorting a lot of these young boys using this whole NDLEA talk, because that's what you do at the end of the day. You stop a young boy, you say you see him with weed. If you stop him, at the end of the day, you will just collect the weed for your hand. You go show una love, una go let him go. Do you understand? Or if una get problem with somebody or you want to set up somebody, because I still believe the whole thing about Ayeri brother, for me, I feel like it's a setup. You know, that's number one. Even the Pretty Mike of Lagos own, I feel like it's a setup. Right? Because if you say something is a crime, then it should be a crime for all. Now, I'm not saying this because I want you to clamp down on weed, right? Or on cannabis. Or, as I call it, what does not look like cigarette. Because if people say cigarette is legal, I want you to break down why cannabis is illegal in Nigeria. Yes, that's just what I want to understand. You people should make a video. Give an orientation, right? Let's understand why it is illegal and why some people have the right to smoke it in public and others don't. And you get, and also this thing you people call illegal, the people where they learn from, your role models, that's the white men in their countries, like in Amsterdam, it's illegal. I'm in Germany now. In Amsterdam, it's legal. There are some stores here in Germany where you see the Rizzler, they sell a lot of these things, right? In Rwanda, they've made it legal. Like they cultivate it, they pack them, they will send and go abroad where they buy. These people use it to generate millions of dollars in revenue. So explain to me why it is legal. It's illegal. That's number one. And number two, why is it illegal to some people, especially those in the ghetto? You go and carry all these young boys where they did for school, you know, whether does they use it until they pass time, until they slow themselves, you know, does it go away? You will go carry them. But a lot of celebrities do these things and you don't see nothing. Do you understand? So you people need to make us understand what is a crime and what is not a crime. Because very, very soon, one, don't let me start to smoke. If I start, my own go bad. And you dare not touch me. You know, you dare not touch me, because if you touch me, you definitely pack every other person. Now, the celebrities that I mentioned in this video, trust me, it is nothing personal, right? I just need to understand my country's law and why is it that you people could do it and other people cannot do it. I know some of you are my friends. You don't expect yourself to be in the video, but I mean, your video is everywhere, so it's not going to be my fault, right? So a king, a policeman, celebrities, even a lot of soldiers, you know, soldiers, they wear the smoky bow. Do you understand? Personally, I feel like we are still slow. Now, later we'll come talk about the side effect of Igbo, the medical implication of Igbo, and the medical implication of cigar, where they legal. Against the Igbo, we want to say no, they legal. But for now, we need to make it what is good for the goose is good for the gander. It's either you let it be legal for everybody, or you just put it illegal for everybody. It's as simple as ABCD. Because you cannot go around setting people up, posting them, harassing our young boys left, right, and center, where the people that they look up to smoke these things almost every day. I've said it. Peace and love don't play.
So guys, it is really sad seeing what is happening in Nigeria. Now let me read out what Harrison actually posted on Twitter. 10 million naira cash recovery from police officers from Zone 16 Bayelsa State. And he said, is it not appalling that traveling along the east-west route has become a nightmare with those responsible for protecting lives and properties instead engaging in extortion and harassment? And he went further to say that the situation is particularly dire for individuals entering Bayelsa from Delta towards Mbiama, who are frequently subjected to unlawful demand of money. A disturbing incident occurred on September 17, 2024, when NYC members traveling to River State were forced into parting with 10 million naira. They were threatened, detained, subjected to emotional stress. The officers involved used an account belonging to Nkem Alozie of something limited for their illicit activities. He said no complaint against the victim, no incriminating activity found on them, nobody signed their bail bond. This is not policing. And he went further to say, following a report I filed on October 25th, 2024 with the Inspector General of Police Complaint Response Unit, a successful retrieval of the extorted fund was achieved today, November 5th, 2024. Okay, this is an old video for 2024. And it says the victim has provided statement to the police and the officers attached to surveillance unit AIG zone system Bayelsa. If no action is taken, those officers will continue to exploit innocent Nigerians. And this person said, so there've been a whole lot of reactions from this video, you know, where Nigerians, I think this person reposted this video today, but actually this video is an old video. So the IG of police is saying that, you know, that not the IG, Harrison, who is a human rights activist, is saying that if no action is taken, Nigerians, this is going to continue. Now, I'm just going to take you through some of the reactions from Nigerians as regards to this. Rufai reposted this video yesterday and it has been trending. And this one says, the more reason for our inevitable need for federal localism that vests inter-public safely, including police and fire service in local community, as opposed by the federal government. Okay, this person is trying to say that is why this dissolution of power is really necessary. And this other person says, give me a concrete reason why this set of rogue police won't orchestrate kidnappings in the state. And this person says, every time negative news coming from officers of Nigerian police, watch and listen to the above video and see how police officers from Zone 16 extorted some youth coppers traveling from Delta to Bayelsa, some of 10 million naira. So I think this thing happened for long, but the recovery was, I think, just recently took place. And this person said, Rufai, Imo State under Hope Uzodinma's was these armed criminals move around with POS kidnap travelers and take them into the bush. These policemen are thieves. So guys, the system is rotten. Everybody is a thief in Nigeria. EFCC are stealing from Yahoo boys. Yahoo boys are stealing from clients. Politicians are stealing from Nigerians. Police are extorting young Nigerian pastors are stealing from members. It's funny country that we can never get better. And this other person say, PO said we are finished in this country, and people were gaslighting him. If the people who are saddled with the responsibility of protecting the citizens are maintaining law and order, are behaving this way, how else can we describe a finished country? How else can you describe a finished country? I think all police officers living above their pay grade need to be investigated. You are a police officer riding a fancy car, investigate. Living large, investigate. That arm of police or force needs to be disbanded and criminalized, and disband that arm of the force need to be disbanded. The criminals there are worse than highway robbers. Okay, this person is just speaking his own. And these are some of the reactions from Nigerians. I don't know what you make of this. And you have seen that of the very dark man speaking about NDLA. Why are they going after just ordinary people who smoke whatever they smoke, and they are living celebrities? Let me know your thought on all this in the comment section below. Thank you.